Okay, few people have made these, so I'm going to also make a tier list for WCA events. Because I think I have a bit less bias than most people. Like, sometimes I joke about not liking events, but in general, I like all events, so this should. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if I should do this in a particular order, but let's just do the end by ends first. 2x2 I'd actually give B tier, which is kind of surprising to people because, as many people know, it's the event I've definitely put the most time into of all events. Well, probably not anymore, but oh yeah, I guess it is. It's very algorithmic and lag based, and that's where I'm deducting from. But it has its good aspects, so I can hopefully demonstrate if I just. Oh, there we go. I don't know why I've done this. 2x2 is very much like if you can one look the solution. It's not just being able to execute a solution. It's so much about turning fast and inspecting well. And I think that is transferable to other events. Like, for example, planning an entire cross +1 and just executing it very well, or something like that. First centers or bars on big cubes. 3x3, this is a controversial opinion. I'd say around C. C, 3x3 is my least favourite event, but it's really popular and I don't want to be too biased against it. But the thing about it is, it's the event everyone starts on, and over time you're practicing all these new events, but you always end up practicing 3x3, and I think that overall general 3x3 solving can get fairly boring. 4x4 next, and 4x4 I think might actually be the best big cube, and I think I'm going to give it S. So my reason for 4x4 being the best big cube is just because it's literally the most unique big cube, as well as not being too long of an event. Like 6x6 has everything 4x4 has, but 4x4 is just better. So you have centers, which you need to keep in the right place. You have all parity, which you can learn loads of random tricks for. And then let's do this. You can also get PLL parity. So yeah, and in 6x6 you can get a third parity, but well, kind of technically-ish. I don't know. No, you can't. What am I on about? There's a way to avoid it. But yeah, this is why I'd put it up here, because it's quite unique as an event. So 5x5, I'd put in B, because it's just like this, but yeah, it's not good as much, and it's a bit of a long event. So 6 and 7, I'm going to give them both C tier. Yeah, I'd give them both C tier, because they are enjoyable events, and they are probably the most challenging events to your look ahead, because you have to keep it up for such a long time. So for that reason, people who are trying to get better at other events that require better look ahead can often break away from that event they're practicing and practice 6x6 and 7x7, for example, and this will help them build better look ahead, and I think that they definitely do have a place. In general, practicing bigger cubes can help you with smaller cubes, like 4x4 and 3x3 I reckon can benefit from like 5, 6, 7. So that's all the end by ends, but we can look at, I'll do blind event last. So Megaminx, I'm going to give A tier, because it's, anyone can do it. Like, you don't need to learn anything new, but you do have to learn something new to be fast. So for that case, you can do it, but if you want to be fast, you learn the new stuff. freestyle STL is really cool. I like learning to kind of break away from the order. The STL order, I think, is pretty like challenging, and I think that it overall it's quite unique. It's got more sides than anything, so it's a new style of looking ahead to actually look around the entire cube. So yeah, cube, dodecahedron, and yeah, it's just different in many ways. It challenges all aspects really, because you also have to turn really fast to be like really good. Let's go one-handed next. Now one-handed I'm gonna also put in A, because I think it's better than 3x3 because it's not just the same thing you've always been doing. Like when you first started, you weren't immediately onto doing it one-handed, and I think that one-handed rewards efficiency a bit better, and also gives you something new to learn. 3x3, you have to like learn to turn better, and you have to learn some maybe better optimized algorithms. And for that matter, I'm also putting feet in there, which is really controversial, but as someone who took the time to actually practice feet, despite, you know, previously being someone who didn't think it was a great event, I gave it the time of day, and actually I think that feet, well, firstly I'm not sure if it should really be removed, but I've kind of come to terms with the fact it is. But feet, you've got to be so efficient, you've got to switch up your turning style and therefore your solutions completely. Like, yeah, like, let's just mess that one up. A pair like this, where you'd normally do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move solution, is fine. But you can do 4 move RUF solution, which is like more efficient and better for feet because F moves are quite nice. You can also do a lot more like EO, and I know quite a lot of ZBLLs, and so it's quite cool to see one and just, you know, be able to easily just execute the ZBLL, and I kind of just watch the time as you finish yourself, I guess. So on to next, I guess we'll do these side events. Now, of these side events, I kind of think Pyraminx is the worst one, and I think it should go here. You don't need to learn anything. It's literally just, in fact no, I'd put Pyraminx just last. Pyraminx I definitely think is my least favourite event, except for these ones that I can't do, but if I could do them I reckon I would do them. And I still practice Pyraminx, of course. I have like a 6 average, but I think that the tips really don't add anything but annoyance. Like, yeah, you have to kind of figure out how to inspect them, but they don't add any technical difficulty. They're literally just blatantly obvious how they're solved. Like, the only justification of when they can kind of be used in a solution is when you do stuff like these slice moves, and honestly I don't think I've done that in a solve for ages. And so I personally think Pyraminx, since it's fully intuition, it's an easy puzzle for people to grasp, but I don't think it's that fun an event to practice when you don't really need to learn the algorithms, because they're just sledges and inserting pieces. Cube, I'd give B2. So firstly, this isn't my normal Cube. If you've ever learned how to do sledges on Cube, you'll know what I mean by the fact it's really kind of just satisfying to just spam sledges. And I think skewed finger tricks are completely unique to any event. Not only that, but I think the method progression is really nice because they transfer directly to each other. So improvements at Skewb is pretty nice, and it's just also inspection on Skewb. You really do need to actually think about not just what's the fewest moves, but what's the most finger tricky, and I think that's something I don't personally do in any other events other than like 2x2. And so I think Skewb goes around B tier. Square one. Square one is something I practice a lot. Well, I don't anymore. One reason I'm not giving it a great tier is because of hardware. Like, the bolt turns really nicely until it explodes because it's stripped, and that is a major problem with the Volt. I still think the Volt's the best on the market. I've tried the Yushin Little Magic M, but it just has no corner cutting. Maybe a modded one would probably be the best on the market, but like the Volt is probably your best bet. I did the paper mod on it because it's stripped, and that didn't exactly help because the paper just broke. So stripping is ruining Square One for me, so I don't really practice it as much anymore. Another thing, I think it's good because of cube shape. I think the cube shape is a really unique event, and it being a shapeshifter, it's definitely something cool to get hold of. But the reason I'm going to put it in B tier instead of higher up, because I've got a lot of benefits of it, but it's just AUGs. It is just AUGs, so I'm going to give it a B tier. Okay, clock. I'm going to give it C tier. For the same reason I gave Pyraminx F tier. Except, oh, that's a good point. Now, clock is all hardware. If you don't have good hardware, you're not good at clock. Which means you have to go through the process of opening it up. And you just do the same thing every time. There are lucky cases to them, but I'm sorry, I've got to put clock in F. It's a nice event because it's easy to get good at, and you can just do 1,000 souls and bam, you're good at clock. Get a magnetic clock blue bit, do 1,000 souls, you're good at clock. You're sub 10 on clock after that. But if you want an event that doesn't hurt your fingers and, you know, isn't exactly monotonous because you're doing the same, more or less the same thing every time, I'd go for something else. I think, though I practice clock, I would not put it high up. Fewest moves, I'm giving S tier. This is because I think Fewest Moves is probably the most unique event. It's the only event that's not timed. You've only got a limit of an hour, but your time doesn't count towards anything. You have to work on new skills such as time management, how many things you actually test out within the hour, and just efficiency in general. You're not just getting a solution down, and also you pay more attention in this event than any other event. FMC is like, I'd say it's probably the best event, just for uniqueness. It's not the best event overall. There are things that have stuff on. There are things that are better than FMC. I can fault FMC probably, like, it's not really a spectator event. Nobody really wants to watch it because it's just people with pens and paper. But I think when you're doing FMC, when you're doing an FMC main, and everyone, you spent that hour doing the solve, and then at the end everyone just gathers around and talks about how they did their solutions, or I think that's quite a good environment, and that's why I think I'd give it S tier. Okay, blind events. Let's start with 3 blind. I'm giving it A tier because it's accessible to everyone. There's so much room for improvement. It's not too hard to get decent at, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that it's a cool event to get good at, and it's not too much strain, so you can do lots of solves at once. Doing lots of solves at once is why I'm going this. Multi-blind is a bit higher because it's as difficult as you make it, really, because it's as difficult as you make it. If you're on the day decide, you know what, I can't do a big multi-attempt, I'm just going to put 3 cubes down and that'll be my result for the competition, that's fine. But if you decide, you know what, I want to really challenge myself here, I'm putting 12 cubes down, sure, why not? I also think blind events in general are quite good to do in competition because I don't think they're as affected by nerves. Like, all of my official blind attempts, DNF or not, have been on my global average, so I think that's a plus. And so that's where I've got this tier list from. Hopefully people can see where I'm coming from with these, and that this isn't too controversial. Of course, me putting my own main, some of my main events are in B tier, but I don't practice those events because I think they're the best events. I practice what I want to at the time, and of course I practice all of these in their equal share. So that's my little tier list. I can't be asked to download it. Here, save image. No. Yeah, that would do. Yep, there you go, that's my tier list. Yep, I'd encourage you to make I'd like to see other people's opinions on this actually. I've seen a few, but yeah, this is mine.